exposing my stepmom's secrets on our family vacation. The resort guard asked who to cuff, me or my stepmom. I held my hands out, palms steady, the way I do when a stranger faints in my ambulance. "I'm Alex," I said. "Paramedic. I'm not the problem here." Vanessa dabbed at her lipstick in the security office window and turned a wet-eyed look toward my father. "Danny, please," she breathed. "Your son is harassing me." Dad's jaw moved, but no words came. He hates scenes. I hate lies that smell like perfume. 36 hours earlier, Dad had called the trip a healing reset. Our suite overlooked a milk glass marina. He prepaid everything: snorkeling for my sister Emma, spa treatments for Vanessa, an extra night for me I hadn't asked for. "I want us together," he said, loud and hopeful. I wanted that too. My work trains me to be precise under pressure. Note times, notice patterns, touch what's real. In the ER, those habits keep people alive. In families, they keep you honest, if you're brave enough to say what you see. The first thing I saw was how needs filled every room. Vanessa needed angles, apologies, special wristbands. Dad needed quiet. Emma needed space from Dad's niceness, which sometimes felt like pressure wearing silk. I needed proof of anything. Then contradictions started to blink like dashboard lights. Vanessa's timeline didn't fit our keycard swipes. Room service arrived while she swore she'd been at the spa. A bracelet she bragged about in our group chat matched an insurance photo I'd cataloged for Dad last Christmas. That coincidence sat in my chest like a fishbone. At check-in, the concierge warned us, "Keep your keycards safe. Lost ones get used fast." I slipped mine behind my ID. Vanessa kept hers loose in a glittery phone case, then borrowed Dad's when she couldn't find it, twice. I smiled and said nothing because no one wants a lecture on day one. Still, I set my phone to log times, snapped photos of minibar inventory, and locked my wallet in the safe. Old habit. Control what you can, record what you can't. Back in the security office, the guard repeated his question. "Neither," I said. "But you're going to want the key card logs." Vanessa flinched so slightly I almost missed it. Dad squeezed my shoulder like that could press me into silence. Emma hovered in the doorway, torn between the trip she'd finally looked forward to and the brother who always tells the truth too early. I could feel what I stood to lose, whatever fragile version of family we still had, right here beside a rack of confiscated selfie sticks. But calming people down is my job. Documenting truth is my backbone. And the truth had already started whispering from receipts, door swipes, and a Marina manifest with a familiar signature. In a crisis, you triage. Airways first, bleeding second, blame last. Family isn't different. You just can't intubate denial or shock. I told the guard there was a simple way to check our stories: time. Think carefully. Would you ruin a perfect vacation if it meant saving your father's future? Dad met Vanessa at a fundraiser where the lighting made everyone look like a better choice. He tells the story like a rescue. She saved him from loneliness, from burnt coffee, from malls where clerks called him sir. I remember a different timeline. After Mom died, Aunt May cooked, Emma cried in the pantry, and Dad worked later with a new urgency that wasn't grief. By the time Vanessa arrived in a champagne dress, we were ready to forgive anything that smiled. Vanessa smiled like a chandelier. She spoke in plurals: we think, we love, we're blessed, until our own names felt rented. She changed little things first. The family calendar on the fridge moved to an app only she managed. Mail forwarded to a P.O. box. Bank statements told to go paperless because less clutter, more clarity. Dad called it modernizing. I call it narrowing. When I asked to see how Dad's charitable foundation paid vendors, Vanessa laughed softly and said, "Sweetie, that's above your pay grade." Pay grade. I make good money for someone who still keeps granola bars in his glove box for diabetic calls at 2 a.m. I don't own a yacht. I own a reliable oxygen tank. My pride is calibrated to heartbeats sustained. Vanessa's pride is calibrated to applause. She is excellent at arranging applause. Before the trip, we had a test run at dinner. Emma and I came early. Aunt May brought a lemon pie. Vanessa floated in late, sunlit, and apologetic. When I mentioned taking the night shift to cover a coworker with the flu, Vanessa set down her phone and tilted her head. "You know, Alex," she said, "it's wonderful you feel called to service." She let the word dangle like a plastic medal. "But maybe on vacation, don't bring the ambulance energy?" Dad winced. Emma squeezed my knee under the table. I tried to reset. I asked logistics. Do we have printed confirmations for the Marina charter? Vanessa smiled. All handled, she said. Let me worry about the boring details. She waved her phone. Digital is safer. Safer than what? Safer than eyes that notice? Aunt May cleared plates, arm brushing mine. Don't fight, she whispered. Just write it down. On the plane 2 days later, Vanessa leaned across Dad to show me an article about burnout. It's real, honey, she said, tapping the headline. Maybe this trip will teach you to relax. I swallowed 3 times and looked at the tiny moving map, the dotted line curving towards salt and sun. Dad rested his hand on her wrist and blinked at me in a quiet, plea-eyed scene since childhood. Keep the peace, kiddo. Peace is a fragile thing when the terms are silence and blindness. At baggage claim, Vanessa laughed when a suitcase tumbled. Chaos, she sang, as if chaos were a cute pet. She took our passports and glided toward the hotel car like a queen in flats. The driver held my name on a sign I hadn't given. She smiled at the driver like they were old friends, and Dad laughed easily. That was when isolation started masquerading as care, and I noticed. Day 1 should have softened us. Salt air, bright towels, the silly thrill of matching wristbands. But the first red flags arrived like scheduled deliveries. At 10:14 a.m., while Vanessa claimed a spa slot, room service delivered a cheese plate and 2 champagne splits to our suite. I photographed the tray as the server backed away, then checked the spa app. No appointment under her name until noon. Maybe she rescheduled, Emma said, peering over my shoulder. Maybe we mind our business. I nodded. I try to mind my business. That's why my notes live in my phone, not my mouth. At 12:37, Vanessa texted a photo from a relaxation lounge captioned, "Blissed out." The lounge art in her photo didn't match the art I'd passed on my way to the fitness room. Small thing. But patterns are made of small things. Dad's card sent me a fraud alert at 2:09 p.m. Travel notice confirmed. Then a cash advance rejected, then accepted. Weird, he said when I told him. Must be the bank catching up. Vanessa kissed his cheek and said, I'll handle it. Like money needed aromatherapy. That evening, a bracelet went missing from the resort boutique. The manager posted a note in the lobby. Vanessa sighed theatrically about tourists with sticky fingers. In the elevator, Vanessa mocked my habit of carrying a tiny notebook. Who still writes things down? She laughed. I shrugged. I do. She tilted her head. Such a cute hobby. You worry so much, honey. It's not healthy. I almost said that health is literally my job, but Dad cleared his throat and looked at the floor numbers like they were answers. Later, on the balcony, Emma said, You're recording everything. I nodded. Just times and places. She looked out at the lit marina and said, I'm not ready to fight him again. A boat horn sounded below us like a low warning. I walked the property before midnight to calm my nerves. I found the staff corridor behind the spa, the camera at the west stairwell, and the dock gate that clicked when it locked. Outside the gate, a kid skateboard and a woman with a straw hat counted gulls. My phone buzzed with a credit alert. Another cash advance, small but real, at 11:49 p.m. Vanessa had just posted a bath bomb video. I thought about the concierge's warning on day 1. I thought about how quickly a healing trip can become an alibi. The night smelled like sunscreen and lemon cleaner. Something almost sweet carried on the wind from the marina. I lifted my camera and took a photo of the dock clock at exactly midnight, then another of the empty ladder down to the water. Behind me, a door opened and closed softly, like a decision someone hadn't yet said out loud. In the morning, I rechecked timestamps. Her lounge selfie metadata read 11:58 a.m., not 12:37. At breakfast, she flashed a gold phone I didn't recognize, then hid it. Emma stirred coffee. Dad pitched snorkeling. Vanessa praised a charity on Marina Gate's sign. Someone slipped past the cameras toward the dock, and I followed. The next afternoon, Vanessa staged one of her effortless shows. Coral dress, floppy hat, the big gestures of someone who enjoys a captive audience. We ate on terrace where gulls argue and phones reflexively appear for sunset. A couple at the next table recognized Dad from a charity gala slideshow and waved. Vanessa sat taller. This is my family, she said, like a curator unveiling. What do you do? The woman asked me. Paramedic, I said. City unit. Okay. Vanessa laughed lightly. He's being modest, she said. He's very dependable. He's our little first responder. The word little landed like gum on my shoe. Dad smiled too widely. Emma looked into her water glass. I tapped my phone to stop my annoyance from saying something unhelpful. My phone buzzed anyway. A bank notification flagged a card not present test charge. Then a boutique complaint pinged the hotel app. The manager's note: an item associated with a sweet guest had triggered security. Must be a mix-up, Vanessa said, reading over my shoulder. Don't ruin our vibe. She cupped Dad's cheek. I watched his pupils shrink into agreement. 10 minutes later, a server approached with an apology. Sir, the front desk asked if you'd confirm a keycard replacement earlier. We show 2 issued for your room today. Dad blinked. I didn't, he said. Vanessa tucked hair behind her ear and said, Oh, that was me. I misplaced mine. All fixed. The server nodded politely, but his eyes flicked to my phone like he wanted me to take notes. Emma whispered, Please don't start. I said, I'm not starting. I'm documenting. She shook her head. Most families don't have a historian. Most families don't need one, I said. A gull leapt from the rail and stole a fry. Vanessa squealed like a child in a commercial, then took a selfie with Dad while my sister disappeared inside. The boutique manager found us 30 minutes later, flanked by Security Chief Ortiz. She apologized for the intrusion, then held up a tablet. A bracelet went missing last night, she said. We're asking all guests near closing to confirm purchases. She scrolled to a screenshot. Our suite number appeared in the POS history window, stamped 11:52 p.m. We were asleep, Dad said quickly. Weren't we? Vanessa touched his forearm. We were, she said. Obviously. Her tone implied boredom with crime. Ortiz's eyes were steady, trained on weather and people. If you'll permit, he said, we can review keycard logs to clear this up. Dad smiled a politician smile. Of course. Anything for clarity. Vanessa stared at me like I'd knocked a glass over on purpose. I'll meet you in the office, Ortiz said. It takes 5 minutes. He stepped away to radio someone. Vanessa exhaled theatrically. This is exactly the energy I wanted to avoid, she told Dad in a whisper. We came here to heal. I watched the gulls circle the terrace in greedy patterns and held my breath. The amount matched the bracelet, down to the cent, and someone smiled. Security Chief Ortiz kept his promise. 5 minutes in a tidy office that smelled faintly of toner and ocean. On the monitor, he pulled up a simple list. Door swipes by time. This clears most disputes, he said. At 11:49 p.m., a card assigned to our suite unlocked the boutique floor. At 11:52 p.m., a purchase was logged. At 11:58 p.m., our door opened again. Ortiz looked at Dad. We can invalidate all but the primary cards, sir. Vanessa's fingers tightened on Dad's forearm. That won't be necessary, she said smoothly. I found my card this morning. She produced a plastic rectangle from her purse like a magician revealing a dove. Ortiz smiled politely. We log replacements by ID. We'll just deactivate the extra to be safe. Vanessa's smile touched her teeth. In the hallway, Dad rounded on me. Alex, what are you doing? I kept my voice even. Following instructions. He asked for 5 minutes. Vanessa stepped between us. You're not following, she said. You're prowling. You're ruining the vibe. Emma stared at the patterned carpet like it might open a trapdoor. Maybe we all just reset, she said. Dad seized the phrase like a life ring. Back in the suite, Vanessa announced a no-drama rule. Whatever this is, it ends now, she said. Phones down, hearts open. She put both replacement cards on the table with a click that sounded ceremonial. I took a photo of them anyway. Emma exhaled sharply. Alex, stop. I looked at her. We need a record. We need a vacation, she said, and walked to the balcony. Aunt May texted from home a photo of our mom's lemon pie recipe card, edges softened by use. Proud of you for keeping notes, she wrote. You don't have to argue. Just write it down. I stared at the handwriting that had once lived on our refrigerator and felt my throat tighten. That night, Dad scheduled a family dinner. The host seated us at a candlelit table near the aquarium wall where fish drifted past like moving jewels. Vanessa raised a glass. To new chapters, she said. To trust. Emma clinked half-heartedly. I lifted water. Dad started a speech about gratitude and healing. Vanessa slid her foot onto my chair's rung like a reminder to behave. The server arrived with a note. Sir, he whispered to Dad. The front desk found a personal item by the dock ladder. They wondered if it's yours. Dad unfolded the note as if it might explode. In the small envelope lay a thin plastic sleeve holding a keycard with my initials sharpened on the back. Alex. Dad's voice was smoke-thin. Why would your card be at the dock at midnight? The keycard in Dad's palm had my initials, but the Sharpie wasn't mine. Explain, he said softly, as if volume could calibrate truth. Vanessa looked hurt on purpose. Emma's chair scraped. I studied the sleeve. Hotel logo smeared. A salt line across the plastic. Someone planted it, I said. Vanessa laughed, too bright. Paranoid much. I walked to the dock with Ortiz. The ladder was wet where the tide kissed metal. On the camera feed, a figure in a sun hat stepped into frame at 11:57 p.m., face turned from the lens. The person tapped the card reader, paused, then slid something into the pilings by the ladder and left. Hat matches resort gift shop, Ortiz said. Half the guests bought it. I asked to see the spa ledger. The attendant scrolled, frowning. Vanessa Daniels, noon, she read. Then she hesitated and turned the iPad. V. Baines, 11:15, signature on file. The signature looked like Vanessa's if you shaved off the flourish. Alias or coincidence. I photographed the screen and the pen loop with its frayed elastic. Details anchor memory when stories wobble. At the Marina, a charter captain remembered Vanessa. She asked about private returns after midnight, he said. He checked his clipboard. No booking under our name. But there's a cash deposit here, initials V.B. Emma tugged my sleeve. Alex, stop, she whispered. Dad can't handle a scandal. I heard my own voice quiet and firm. Truth isn't a scandal. It's an antiseptic. Back in the suite, Vanessa held court. This trip is about joy, she declared. Not audits. She set her phone face down. The side glinted gold. When she excused herself, she left the phone by accident. I shouldn't have touched it. I touched it. The screen woke to a lock with a different wallpaper than Dad has ever seen. A mirrored photo flashed in the reflection. Vanessa, same dress, different necklace, the date stamp wrong. Don't, Emma warned. Please. I set the phone down like a ticking watch. Vanessa returned smiling, saw the angle of her device, and rotated it exactly 90 degrees. Dad rubbed his temple. Alex, I'm asking you. Stop. He sounded older than 60. If I stop, I said, we lose the chance to stop harm. In the elevator, a stranger in a linen shirt nodded at Vanessa. See you tonight? He asked. She tilted her head. We'll see. He smelled like citrus gin and Doc Diesel. Emma's eyes were wide with a child's fear of thunder. I logged the time. 6:42 p.m. West Bank elevator, camera 2. On the terrace, gulls argued with wind. Vanessa raised a slender wrist to adjust her bracelet. It matched the boutique screenshot exactly. Her smile glossed over our reflection in the glass like lacquer. I texted Aunt May, verifying, not accusing. She replied with a heart. I took one breath, labeled each photo, and set alarms for key times. The plan wasn't heroic. It was careful, like washing wounds before bandaging. I kept it quiet. At 8 p.m., her second phone lit with my mother's maiden name. In the morning, I met Ortiz by the buckled Marina map. He'd pulled door logs for our floor. Someone entered our suite at 11:58 p.m. with a card ending 43. My replacement, Vanessa said when shown the list. Ortiz scrolled. Accept your replacement in 09, he said. 43 is reserved. He didn't finish the sentence. I asked the concierge about the spa alias. We sometimes process under initials for privacy, she said. But guests sign their legal name. The signature for V. Baines curved like Vanessa's, minus the flourish. She added, whoever that is, she tipped in cash and declined receipt. I photographed the line and the counter's reflection. Emma and I walked the vendor stalls. Do you hear yourself? She asked. I hear timestamps, I said. I hear keycards. She kicked a pebble. I hear Dad breathing like he does before a migraine. I'm trying to protect him, I said. From what? Embarrassment? Or the person he chose? She asked. I pulled up the metadata on Vanessa's lounge selfie. Location services were off. Still, the camera cached a known Wi-Fi network. My phone recognized it. Marina Lounge, West Pier. The photo clock read 11:58 a.m. The spa list still showed noon. I annotated the screen and saved it twice. At noon, a text landed from an unknown number. Adjust timeline. Shelf fountain, too. I showed Ortiz. Could be bait, he said. Either way, I said, I'll be on camera. From 2 to 2:08, I stood by the fountain and let the camera see me. A woman in a straw hat approached, then veered off when Emma joined me. This feels awful, Emma whispered. Awful is diagnostic, I said. The gulls finally settled. Back in the suite, I checked the folio. 2 champagne splits at 10:14, then a fruit plate at 12:21, signed V. B. Vanessa denied ordering them. Do you think I drink in the morning? She scoffed. I think someone is building a picture, I said. Of you, or of us. At 3:40, I followed the linen shirt man at a distance. He chatted with the dock clerk, paid cash for ice, and left with a tote marked SMSDRL. The manifest showed the boat returning at 11:55 p.m. last night. Vanessa's bath video posted at 11:52. 3 minutes is a short ocean between alibi and arrival. A credit alert pinged Emma's phone. Dad added Vanessa as an authorized user on a card he'd kept separate. Since when? Emma asked. Since today, I said, staring at 3:47 p.m. He always makes love a locking mechanism, she said. I typed the sentence into my notes. At dusk, I asked Ortiz for one more thing, the west stairwell camera. He scrubbed frame by frame until a reflection in the glass showed what the primary lens missed. A gold phone case with tiny raised stars, held at chest level, catching the timer glow. Not a smoking gun, but a pattern with fingerprints. Staged errands, mismatched clocks, cash where credit should be. I trusted records over anyone's beautiful speeches. Exactly. The reflection showed Vanessa's hand, and a second hand guiding it. Mini twists never feel mini when they land on your family. Ortiz called me to his office after 9. He had the boutique's higher-angle camera, the one above the display where light pools like honey. In the reflection of a plexi riser, you could read a passport name as someone opened a wallet. Vanessa Baines Daniels. Not illegal, not rare, 2 identities braided, selectable by occasion. Ortiz zoomed the final frames. A second hand, the linen shirt man, guided her card across the reader. Looks like coaching, he said. The time code hit 11:49 p.m., then 11:52. The purchase. The card returned. 3 minutes later, our door. My initials would be sharpened at the dock by morning. I guided Dad through what I could prove. It's optics, he said, voice brittle. Celebrities have stage names. Vanessa took his hand. Why police a vacation? She asked. Your spa appointment under V. Baines. Your lounge selfie on the Marina network. A cash deposit for a boat, whose return hugs your bath video. 2 replacements issued. 1 is reserved. The dock camera shows a lobby hat. I kept my tone flat. Vanessa rolled her eyes. Conspiracy tourism, she said. Emma stared at her napkin. Worst case? She asked softly. I turned the question and said it plainly. Credit siphon using Dad's authorized line. Insurance setup with staged loss. Identity shuffle to move assets if scrutiny comes. Words taste harsh the first time you feed them to family. Emma swallowed. If that's true, my college fund is a memory. Your fund is fine, Dad snapped. His eyes asked me to lie back. I couldn't. I showed Mom's old envelope system photo, for labeled pockets, bills tucked straight. She made paperwork boring on purpose, I said. Boredom saves families. I proposed a pause, freeze the new authorized user, limit card access, keep paper trails. For 72 hours, I said, so facts can breathe. Dad called it dramatic. Vanessa called it punitive. Emma called it adult. Ortiz later said the C. Mistral manifest listed initials matching Vanessa's alias for a late crew pass. Under the comforters that night, I assembled a quiet timeline labeled Vanessa Schema. I added screenshots, log times, and a still of the gold phone case stars. I prepped a recorded call prompt. If she rang, I'd ask 3 neutral questions and save the file with consent text. Calendar reminders went to Emma, so someone else could watch the clock tick. At breakfast, Vanessa arrived radiant, handed Dad charity flyers, and announced a sunset cruise. The flyer designer used the same alias email I'd seen on the spa ledger. She smiled at me like a ref who'd already chosen a team. I looked at the gift shop wall where straw hats hung like unblinking witnesses. If donations used the alias, chargebacks could gut Dad's foundation and Emma's scholarship might freeze. I pictured donors like 4 bags, flow halted by one small kink in the line. Stakes rose. The charity flyer listed Dad's foundation as sponsor, but not on the paperwork. I made a plan with the tools I trust: light, time, consent, and copies. At 10:02 a.m., I asked Ortiz for a brief sit-down with Vanessa present, on camera, about the boutique confusion. He agreed, clarity prevents accusations, and scheduled a quiet meeting room by the security office. Before that, I went to the Marina clerk with Emma and requested a printout of last night's visitor log. Policy said no, but Ortiz placed a call, and 10 minutes later we had timestamps. A linen shirt man signed in at 11:42 p.m., initials C.M., and again at 7:05 a.m. with a different pen. I photographed the contrast in ink weight, the letter forms, the way the M leaned when rushed. Back in the suite, I positioned Dad by the window for light and asked permission to record a short statement. "Just tell me when you last saw Vanessa before midnight," I said. He swallowed. "Bath, 11:30 maybe," he answered. Consent on camera, then facts in his words. Emma glared at me, then nodded once, tiny and pained. Vanessa breezed in with a basket of resort citrus and kissed Dad's hair. "We're late for the Marina briefing," she sang. "Give me 10 to change." Her phone buzzed on the table, face down. A preview flashed. "Tonight confirmed." I photographed nothing. I memorized everything. At 11:58 a.m., we sat with Ortiz. He read a neutral script. "We review logs when purchases are disputed. Guests often appreciate transparency." Vanessa smiled. "Of course," she said, then turned to Dad. "Can we just close this?" I asked one question. "Do you ever sign as Vanessa Baines?" She blinked slowly. "That's my maiden name," she said. "Backslash, do you use it for accounts?" I asked. "Not your business," she answered graciously. I placed the printed Marina log beside the boutique list and the spa ledger screenshot. "These show timing inconsistencies," I said. "I want to resolve them quietly today." Vanessa's smile cooled. "Or what?" she asked. My heart kicked hard in my ribs, like the first time I drove the rig alone. "Backslash, or we do it publicly," I said. "At dinner, with counsel or security present." Dad flinched. "Public?" he repeated. Emma's foot pressed my ankle in warning under the table. Ortiz kept his face neutral but didn't hide his interest. Vanessa's hands folded. "You're threatening me on vacation?" she said. I shook my head. "I'm protecting what you say you love," I answered. Emma whispered, "Is there a third option?" I stared at the papers and wished for one. After, Emma and I circled the pool in silence until a plan felt less like punishment and more like hygiene. "Backslash, we invite them to a private toast," I said. "A thank you for the trip." In the private lounge, right beside the screen used for rainy day movies. Ortiz can stand by as hospitality support. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize on record. Emma nodded. "And if you're right?" she asked. "Then the lights will do the talking," I said. "Please arrive 10 minutes early. THX. I booked the lounge at 7 and texted Dad, "Dress nicely tonight. Close calls teach you which muscles hold you upright." At 5:30 the front desk called. An item from the boutique, still tagged, was found in my backpack at the Bell desk. I didn't check anything with Bell staff. The clerk was apologetic, the phrasing rehearsed. "Security would like a word before tonight's event," she added. Ortiz met me by the ficus and set the bag on a table between us like a specimen. "You know this isn't mine," I said. He nodded. "Then we find chain of custody," he answered. The camera over the Bell counter showed a blur of a similar backpack, a hand with a ring I recognized, and the moment a tag snagged a zipper. Not proof beyond doubt, proof beyond coincidence. Dad arrived red-faced, Vanessa murmuring. "Is this absolutely necessary?" she asked. "We're losing precious hours of our trip." Ortiz kept his tone even. "We like precious hours, to be honest." Emma took my arm. "Breathe," she mouthed, and I realized I hadn't. My phone buzzed. Aunt May video call. I stepped into the shade. "You look like your father on tax day," she said, gentle and dry. I told her the planted tag story in 30 seconds. She blinked and said, "Good. They're escalating. That means they feel your teeth. Keep your mouth closed. Document. Love later." I swallowed. "What if this blows us up?" I asked. "Then the house is built on gas," she said. At 6:15, the linen shirt man appeared at the bar, paid cash, and slipped a folded napkin to the bartender. I watched the napkin travel hand to hand until it reached Vanessa's clutch. Emma saw it too and squeezed my fingers so hard my knuckles popped. I took a single photo from my hip, low, the way rookies learn not to. Back in the suite to change, I found my backpack unzipped and the safe drawer open. Inside lay my passport and a card I didn't recognize, the reserved ending 43. Someone wanted me to look like the hinge for all their doors. I photographed the drawer, then shut everything and placed my bag in the bathtub under towels. Vanessa floated in wearing lapis earrings. "Let's call a truce," she said. "We're here to heal. You magnify inconvenience into conspiracy, Alex. It's unattractive." I tied my tie without looking at her. 7 o'clock, I said. "Family toast." She smiled. "I adore toasts," she said. "They make lies look like champagne." At 6:50, 2 resort officers arrived to escort us, for privacy. Ortiz slid beside them, neutral as rain. My heart slowed to match his pace. Emma walked between Dad and me like an electrical insulator. Vanessa checked her reflection in every glass surface we passed. In the private lounge, the big screen glowed blue, ready for any input. Ortiz tested the HDMI, whistled tunelessly, then nodded. I placed the folder on the table and stacked the printouts by timestamp. Dad stared at the empty screen like it might ask him for mercy before the facts did. My palms cooled at last. The bartender arrived with the napkin, unfolded, covered in yesterday's Times. We dressed like we believed in peace. Dad in a blazer, Emma in soft blue, Vanessa in lapis that drank the room's light. The bartender poured family toast flutes and glided away. Ortiz dimmed the sconces and stood by the door, hands loosely clasped, as if this were just another rainy night movie. "Before we toast," I said, "I want to thank you, Dad, for the trip." I lifted my glass, then set it down. "And I want to clean up the noise so we can actually enjoy it." Vanessa smiled like a host waiting for applause. "Do it," she said, chin tipped. Emma's hand found my sleeve. The big screen woke. Date, time, room number. I kept my voice level. "We'll walk through 4 simple artifacts," I said. Keycard logs, boutique POS history, spa ledger names, and the Marina manifest. Dad swallowed hard. Vanessa's eyes never left me. Artifact 1, door swipes. Ortiz narrated neutrally, highlighting 11:58 p.m. card ending 43. "Reserved pool," he said quietly. "Not normally issued to guests." Vanessa didn't blink. Dad rubbed his temple and breathed through his nose the way he does at the dentist. Artifact 2, the boutique list, time-stamped 11:52 p.m., plus a reflection still showing a passport wallet. Vanessa Baines-Daniels. Emma flinched. Vanessa exhaled theatrically. "I have 2 surnames," she said. "Married women do." Artifact 3, the spa ledger. Emma read the 2 names aloud. V. Baines, and the noon appointment as Daniels. "Both are me," Vanessa said. "Privacy is not a crime." I nodded. "Correct. But habits make patterns." Artifact 4. The Marina manifest for C. Mistral's late return, the linen shirt man's initials C. M. and the dock camera's hat silhouette. Then the bartender slipped a folded napkin to Emma. She unfolded it. Yesterday's Times in a careful hand. Arrows connecting 11:49, 11:52, 11:58. "From whom?" Dad asked. The bartender tilted his head toward the bar, where the linen shirt man had disappeared. I set the planted keycard sleeve beside the napkin. "Somebody is building a picture that ends with me blamed," I said. "That picture only works if you don't look at the frame." Ortiz nodded once, almost invisible. "We can cross-check all this with a call to the bank and a quick audit of the foundation's pending transfers," I added. "If I'm wrong, I'll apologize on camera." Vanessa sipped, unbothered. "Or we can stop this spectacle," she said, smiling at Dad. He looked between us, eyes damp. "Sweetheart," he said to me, "is there a kinder way?" I thought of triage and what happens if you delay. "Kind as sterile instruments," I said. "Kind as precise." Vanessa set down her glass and turned fully toward me, a queen acknowledging a challenger. "Then show your little presentation, Alex," she purred. "And pray you've measured right." I clicked play, and Vanessa whispered, "Turn it off or lose him forever." The first clip was boring on purpose. An email header from the charity flyer vendor showing the alias address we'd seen on the spa ledger, routed through a domain registered last month. The invoice recipient matched Dad's foundation but listed a different remittance account. Ortiz highlighted the last 4 digits and pulled up a freeze request form, already drafted. Vanessa's smile thinned to a line. Next came the boutique reflection, her passport wallet open on the plexi riser, the 2 names visible. Ortiz paused on the frame where a second-hand, linen shirt man, guided her card to the reader. Coaching, Emma said softly. Vanessa waved it away. A friend, she said, helping me with a jammed slot. Then the Marina manifest and the dock camera. We watched the hat move through the corridor, pause at the ladder, slip something into the piling. The timestamp, 11:57 p.m. Ortiz overlaid my midnight photo of the dock clock. Your bath video posted at 11:52, I said. 5 minutes for a towel, a hallway, and a planted card is impressive. Vanessa switched tactics. Danny, look at him, she said, pointing at me. He's obsessed. He's recording you. He turned our gift into a trial. Dad's mouth trembled. It's a lot, he said. Maybe we slow down. I nodded, happy to slow down after 3 quick confirmations. I called the bank speakerphone. A fraud specialist confirmed a new authorized user added today, then a pending transfer to the alias remittance account. Consent recorded. Dad sat very still. Why? Emma asked Vanessa, voice breaking on the smallest word. What is this? Vanessa blinked hard, eyes glassing perfectly. Because your father hands money to anyone who smiles, she said. Because his foundation is a sieve. Because security is love, and I protect what men squander. She turned, mask slipping just enough to show muscle and calculus. Ortiz added the napkin chain and the bell desk camera still of a hand planting the tagged item in a backpack like mine. The ring matched Vanessa's lapis set. He didn't say it. The screen did. Dad made a small animal sound. You only hear that noise when something you believe to be gentle bears teeth. Stop, Vanessa said, moving toward the console. This is harassment. She reached for the cable. Ortiz raised a palm and didn't touch her. Ma'am, please, he said, voice even. We're concluding a clarification. Vanessa turned to Dad with the precision of a surgeon. Choose, she said. Choose your wife or your son. Choose family or paperwork. Choose joy or this. The room held its breath. Emma whispered, Dad, look at the times. Dad's hand lifted, trembling, toward the plug, then drifted toward me instead, open and empty. Vanessa lunged for the power cord, and Dad shouted my full name. Chaos arrived softly in nice rooms. Ortiz stepped between the console and Vanessa without touching her, and the screen stayed lit. Dad's shout cracked something open. The bartender froze in the doorway. Emma moved closer to me, not away. We're done, Ortiz said calmly. I'll arrange deactivations and a report. He radioed 2 words I didn't understand, and the air eased. Vanessa rotated toward the door, then pivoted back to Dad with a practiced tremble. This is abuse, she whispered. He's weaponizing your anxiety. He wants your money. He always resented me. My throat tightened. I swallowed the reflex to defend myself from something the screen had already settled. Dad stared at the table of papers like a man scanning a crash site after the sirens stop. We need a pause, he said, voice dust dry. No transfers. No authorizations. We'll have counsel review everything. Vanessa's jaw flexed. Counsel, she repeated. Her hand smoothed her dress as if the right shape could overwrite timestamps. Ortiz accompanied us to the lobby while a resort officer photographed the napkin and the keycard sleeve. PR hovered, whispering about discretion. Emma put her phone on airplane mode. I felt the hit of adrenaline ebb. Space returned to my ribcage. At the elevator, Vanessa reached for Dad. Don't let him ruin us, she said, smile repainted. Dad flinched. No more private lines, he said. No more aliases. No more cash. It wasn't a verdict yet, but it was oxygen. Back upstairs, Vanessa packed efficiently, selecting heels like evidence she would reorder elsewhere. She turned to me with schoolteacher pity. You think you saved him, she said. You embarrassed him. Emma stepped between us. You framed my brother, she answered. Vanessa's laugh had no light in it. Security escorted Vanessa to a separate floor for quiet. A gossipy text lit up the resort app, then vanished. PR was fast. Dad sat on the edge of the bed, hands hanging. I'm sorry, he said to the carpet. I sat beside him. So am I answered, and meant it. The bank froze the pending transfer. The foundation flagged the flyer invoice. Ortiz emailed his report to Dad, and suggested a police liaison if needed. Aunt May called. I put her on speaker. Breathe together, she said. Then write it down. Boundaries are just the shape love takes when it wants to last. Dad cried quietly, a sound I hadn't heard since Mom's memorial. Sleep arrived like a medic's nap. Sudden, shallow, necessary. In the morning, the resort slid a neutral statement under our door. They were addressing an internal guest discrepancy and thanked us for our partnership. We packed without music. At checkout, 2 reporters lingered by the palm wall. PR steered them away. Emma squeezed my shoulder hard. You did the right thing, she said. Doing right never feels like this. By the car, Vanessa turned once. Eyes cool, mouth tender with practiced hurt. Vanessa turned as security escorted her, whispering, "This isn't over, little medic." After the trip, everything got less cinematic and more procedural, which is how you actually heal. Dad met a therapist recommended by his doctor and didn't cancel. We added 2-factor to his accounts, removed shared passwords, and turned the foundation's mail back into paper with a locked file drawer. He signed a narrow power of attorney for emergencies only. Emma and I split oversight by calendar, not by emotion. Vanessa's lawyer sent 3 letters. The first demanded retractions for defamatory surveillance. The second, a threat about interference with spousal credit. The third was short and cold, a notice of separate residence and a request for statements to support a fair exit. Dad hired an attorney who printed everything and spoke in hums. He recommended a forensic accountant. I love that phrase. It means numbers tell the truth, death or alive. Aunt May kept our Sundays steady. Roast chicken, not news. She made Dad call the bank while we were all there, on speaker. He trembled less each week. Boundaries, the therapist said, are agreements you make with yourself first. Dad wrote 3, no new cards, no cash advances, no aliases. He taped them in his closet behind a jacket. Emma went back to grad classes with her alerts on. We moved Mom's recipe cards into plastic sleeves. Touching them stopped feeling like disloyalty to the present. I kept my notes organized, then deleted duplicate screenshots with a ceremony of small breaths. Work returned to its rhythm. Dispatch calls, siren, gloves, voices, outcomes. Vanessa texted Dad twice. Are you eating? And you looked handsome on that podcast. Then switched to counsel-only communication when he didn't answer. Ortiz forwarded us the final resort report with 3 attachments and a sentence I loved. All requested deactivations completed. The linen shirt man's name surfaced through a vendor, a freelance event fixer with cash habits. No romance, just logistics. It made everything smaller and clearer. We negotiated conditions for any future support Dad might offer Vanessa. Documented purposes, no access to foundation accounts, oversight by counsel, timelines and receipts, signatures that match one legal name. Dad signed them like someone closing a gate. He cried afterward and didn't apologize for crying. I started sleeping longer than 90 minutes. Emma laughed again without looking around first to see who might steal it. Aunt May moved the lemon pie recipe to the front of the box. One afternoon, Dad sat on my stoop and said, "I'm proud of your notes." We both looked at the street and let the sentence sit. Peace returned in the shape of routines we could keep explaining. 3 weeks later, a motion envelope arrived addressed in Vanessa's looping hand. The envelope contained a formal request for structured support while counsel unwound shared obligations, matched to the conditions we'd written, almost verbatim. No access to Dad's foundation. No aliases. Receipts monthly. It was either surrender or strategy, maybe both. The forensic accountant found 3 small irregularities and a larger pattern. Short bursts of cash advances timed to public events, then quiet periods of reputation purchases. The pattern stopped the week we left the resort. Dad read the report twice. Did I love badly? He asked. I thought of my patients who mistake noise for pain. You loved with your eyes closed, I said gently. Open is better. He nodded and touched the page like it could warm his fingers. I wrote an email to Vanessa's counsel. We'd accept the structured request with dates, caps, and audit rights. Any deviation would end support. Our attorney approved, then hit send. Boundaries, documented, become furniture. Useful, unglamorous, exactly where you need them when you're tired. Emma posted a private update to our family chat. We're okay. We're learning. Aunt May replied with a photo of her kitchen timer and a line I'll keep forever. Peace is 15 minutes without explaining yourself. Dad started bringing pie to his therapy sessions, which made his therapist laugh. Sometimes love regrows sideways and still stands. I kept one screenshot, the dot clock at midnight, and deleted the rest. My phone felt lighter when I put it down. On shift that night, a teenager asked if ambulances ever get holidays. We get moments, I said. Moments are enough if you respect them. He nodded like that was a secret. For anyone listening, watch the corners of a picture, not the center. Learn the texture of your people's honesty so you can feel when someone paints over it. Ask for receipts before the storm, not after. If you suspect something, write times, not speeches. Timestamps don't raise their voices. The last time I saw Vanessa, months later, she crossed a street and didn't see me. She looked smaller, like someone trimmed the stage lights, and she forgot where to stand. I felt no triumph, only quiet. Dad was at home making coffee he wouldn't burn, and Emma was texting pictures of a syllabus, and Aunt May was thawing lemons. That was enough. I walked past the marina near our river and listened to gulls argue over nothing. I thought of Ortiz's calm, of receipts that didn't blink, of Dad's hand lifting and then finding air. I am not a hero. I am a witness who kept a notebook. That can be enough to keep a family from slipping under. If you ever have to choose, protect the boring truth and let glamour drown. Tonight, Dad asked to meet alone, and a block number keeps calling.